Hello, happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm excited to have you all here because I have a topic today that I'm really on fire about. If you're on my email list, you may already have a hint of what I'm going to be talking about today. But this is something that is just so common in the entrepreneur space. And you've probably heard me say before, I am not into the hustle and grind model of success. I don't think it is sustainable, not for your health, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And well, before I dive in, we have new people in the group. I have new followers over on YouTube and on LinkedIn. And just a hot minute about me. My name's Penny Chason. I was in healthcare for 25 years, have the master's degrees and the certificates in anesthesia, and have been an entrepreneur now since 2018, full-time since 2019. I walked away from anesthesia. It was a toxic place to be, which I feel the pressures in that environment add to what I'm going to share with you today. So we're going to be talking about time management, and I really hate that term, time management. So if time management puts you on edge, like if that's really like nails on a chalkboard for you to think about or to talk about time management, I really want you to comment in the chat and let me know your thoughts and your experiences. Because for me, and as a hypnotist, I don't like to use this word, but I'm basically sharing my past experience. To me, time management was hard, right? There are so many things to do. I used to go from the framework of the to-do list. Now I use a priorities list, and I do not use it as a to-do list, but I can circle back to that later if that's something you want to know more about. But it felt hard to me because it always seemed like my list of things to do was endless. So it created mental stress. It in turn created emotional stress because then you're thinking, how am I ever going to get this done? So you're creating emotional stress through those thoughts of not being able to get things complete. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you're going to get into trouble or be judged, or if it's work related, there are issues there. So just something to think about in terms of like that time management, that to-do list. It felt very hard to me. And it also makes me think of it's never ending. If that makes sense for you, just drop a comment wherever you are, Facebook group, LinkedIn, YouTube. I always felt it's never ending. It's just going to keep going on forever, which I think might be one of the reasons I loved anesthesia so much, because surgery eventually ends. Surgery eventually ends, but like at home and in a business, it feels never ending because from 2013 to 2015, I had a hypnosis practice in Connecticut. So I say I've been in business since 2018. I've had a few different businesses since 2007 actually, but hypnosis mainly since 2013. And when you're a solopreneur and you're building a business in 2013, I did not have a business mentor. I was literally hours on end, eyeball deep on Google, trying to figure out how to build my business so my list of things to do would grow and grow. And even now, the list can be quite long, which is why I don't like time management, because when it comes to entrepreneurship and we think of all the things we have to do, we force ourselves to trying to compress these things into a time frame because we become attached to the deadlines of when they have to be done. Now, when we set goals and we are learning to be in integrity with our word to ourselves and to hold ourselves to achieving what we'll say we're going to do, then yes, we have deadlines. The thing is, if we don't meet that deadline, you can't consider yourself a success or a failure. You have to evaluate how come you didn't meet that deadline. But I'm kind of going off the rails there a little bit. We want to thrive in our lives. And someone here on Facebook, her first name's Catherine Caroline. I don't want to try to pronounce her last name because I know I'll absolutely butcher it. She went to a conference recently, and she was sharing the things that she learned from other entrepreneurs at this conference, or I shouldn't say learn, that she heard, that she observed. And it's not new to me because of the clients that I've worked with. And that is how many of them have $1 million businesses. They're burnt out, they're exhausted, they're overwhelmed. And, it's really a state to be in, that the body mentally, physically, emotionally will just kick in and say, stop just a minute. What are you doing to me? And it's because there are these standards, there are these methods that are being taught, there are these expectations. People want to reach their success rapidly, and people are still being taught a more grinding way of getting to your success. And what happens is people don't set boundaries, because as entrepreneurs, this is our time to thrive. We do not have to buy into this whole idea that you have to hustle and grind to get to success. And there's the concept that you slow down to speed up. Why does slowing down to speed up work? It's because when you're not stressed, you don't have brain fog, you're more focused, you have more clarity, and you can accomplish more in a shorter period of time because you have the mental bandwidth to help that happen. When we're constantly pushing and grinding and going, and now I'm a manifesting generator. So when I get into flow, I will go. I don't stop, but it doesn't happen very often. When I get into flow, I don't stop. I won't even stop to eat because it takes me time to get back in that flow, which is why multitasking decreases productivity, because it takes anywhere for 15 to 25 minutes to get into a zone of focus for most people. Not everyone, but for most people. So what I do, rather than time management and scheduling things in and working from a to-do list and trying to cram all these things in, I have boundaries in my life. And the way I exert those boundaries is I do it through time blocking. So my mornings are for me. My mornings are for me. And that's my coffee. That's relaxing. It's sitting outside on the front porch, watching the sun come up, or on the back porch, doing some gratitude journaling at the patio table. I make space for me. I make space for me to ease into my day. So I am not starting my day rushed, triggered, and in fight or flight. Now, for moms with kids, you have kids, you have to get up, maybe they go to daycare, maybe they go to school, other activities. We have those pressures, but consider when you have a job and you have a certain time you have to be there, and maybe you drive in rush hour traffic, right? All of those things are pressures. And the beauty of thriving in entrepreneurship is we can structure our day so that we do a few things. One is that we optimize our most productive time. For some people, their most productive time is 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then their self-care time comes after. If that's what works for you, time block it that way. For me, I like an easy start to my day. So that's how my time block works. And then later in my day, what I've done is the things that absolutely must be done every day, I have a time block for each of those activities. Now, I don't have a set number of tasks that must occur in that time frame, because we never know how long something might take. What I do is I give myself more than enough space that I can at least accomplish the minimum that I would like to accomplish. Then if life happens, I have leeway. There's an old adage that goes, live by the calendar and not the clock. And that really just means don't fill every minute of your available space every day. The human brain is really productive about 4.5 hours out of the day for a lot of people. If you're doing continuous work, about 4.5 hours. So put your most important task in time blocks, separate them in time blocks in that time frame. Now, in the email I sent out today, I was telling everyone eating your lunch while you're checking your email is not having boundaries for yourself. Your lunch, your meals, it needs to be a time block where you unplug, pull away, and you get some mental space. So you sit down and you prioritize what's important and you decide what time blocks to put it in. And then you hold boundaries around those time blocks. And that leads to the biggest piece of all of this. And that is your awareness. That is your awareness. If you time block, if you already do that, just comment in the chat. Let me know if you already time block. Yes, Mercy, it's good to see you here. Time block. If that's something that you do, just comment that you time block. If you prioritize, comment that you do that. It just, time management feels so constraining and it adds extra pressure that we don't need. Now, when it comes to this awareness piece, this is where things really begin to fall into place. Number one, if you're resistant to time management, which I was, because it just literally didn't feel good, right? It felt stressful, and we're going to resist what feels stressful to us. But if you say you can't do time management, ask yourself, what causes me to say that? Because that's going to give you insight into the best way to implement the boundaries, priorities, and awareness piece. Okay. To me, time management feels very masculine. It doesn't feel like allowing and flowing and letting something be easier from a mental perspective than we've allowed it to be in the past. The other thing around awareness, when you're making these priorities, notice what you're making a priority. Especially, if you're in business and you're getting ready to grow your business, or maybe, you're still at 6 figures or less and you're not quite where you are and you don't understand why. Look at what you're prioritizing. Are you prioritizing within your business blocks? Are you prioritizing the things that will allow you to grow your business? Or are you prioritizing things like playing with logos and colors? If you're more successful in business, are you prioritizing reworking your course content instead of networking or interviewing a team member that will allow you to grow, that will give you time back so that you can scale your business, grow your business, and scale your business even further? Really assess those priorities and see how the things that you're prioritizing in the time blocks fit into you actually achieving your goals, because there are 1,000 things I could do in my business every single day, and not one of those things would help me get another client. Not one of those things would help me keep a client, right? And if you're, depending on what your goals are, if you're not doing the things that are going to actually lead to that conclusion, then it doesn't matter that you have boundaries. You have boundaries around the wrong things. And there might be something subconscious causing you to avoid doing what it is that you should be doing so that you can grow and scale your business. Now, when you look at the millionaires who talk about being burnout and exhausted, right? There are a few questions that enter my mind. Is number one, what caused them to feel, think, or believe that it was not good for them to maybe take days off, have self-care, set boundaries around their work day so they weren't exhausting themselves. That could be one piece of it, right? These are ways you can bring awareness into your life as well. The other thing is, what are your expectations of yourself? Are you comparing yourself to other people and you're setting your expectations to be as far along as other people? One of the things that drives me crazy is to see these coaches who make tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars, and they will say things like, you could drop me off in the ghetto in Chicago tomorrow with nothing, and within 6 months I'll have a business worth $1 million. Well, sure, Wilbur, you have a network, you have years of skills, talents, right? You've already learned all the things that someone new to business, newer to entrepreneurship, who's only been in the game a few years, has yet to learn. But what it does is, the idea is to say these things with good intent, right? Like, you're going to reach a point that no matter what happens, if you lost everything today, in 6 months, you could be back at $1 million. But when newer entrepreneurs hear that, I say we, I'm not new anymore. We hear those things from our perspective, and our interpretation of what they're saying is different. It can be totally different. Pam says here in the Facebook group, I'm using me as a distraction. I know exactly, well, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I experienced something that for me looked exactly like that. I did a podcast episode on it in January of last year, where my self-care had become a distraction away from what I actually needed to do. That's why I'm talking about boundaries and priorities. And when you have that self-care time, you put that boundary around that self-care time. And when the things have to be done, you put your boundary around that. I mean, if I didn't have a coaching call with my mentorship at 3:00, if I hadn't had this call, I was actually done for the day at noon, because I used my time blocks and I jammed through my stuff. I had a call with my coach at 9 that got rescheduled because she has boundaries and her kids were sick and she needed to be there for her kids. So sometimes we have to have boundaries around things and flex. So it allowed me to start my day earlier and get some things done. So technically, except for my coaching call and this live, to be here with all of you and share my thoughts, my day is done. So when I'm finished with this call, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to take a walk, go, I don't know, maybe go see the new baby calf we had yesterday. Take a walk down the road. I don't know, get out, get fresh air, get sun. And then I'm going to come back in for my coaching call. And at 4:30, I'm done. I will have worked 7.5 hours. That's not bad. And it's probably my longer day this week. So this awareness, where are we getting in our own way? The boundaries and the priorities allow us to observe when things aren't getting done that we know we want them to get done, or we're not meeting the goals that we want to meet. We can ask ourselves, are my priorities out of order? Am I not holding my boundaries? How come this has happened? Because sometimes we just don't know what boundaries are and we never learned how to hold a boundary. Sometimes there's something inside of us keeping us from being in integrity with ourselves. And typically that not being in integrity with ourselves is based on a misperception, a poor interpretation from when we were younger, or it can be loosely tied to some emotional trauma. And when I talk about emotional trauma, I'm not talking about big T trauma, though yes, absolutely, that can be the root of the problem. But anytime we have an intense emotional experience, it triggers our trauma response. So even though I don't like to call those things traumas, I generally tend to say intense emotional experiences. Those things cause us to cement in misperceptions and incorrect beliefs, and we can be doing something important to us and we just can't seem to get out of our own way. We're motivated, we want it, we know we're confident, and we just don't understand why it's not happening for us, or we don't understand this constant drive to have to move from one goal to the next goal. We achieve one goal, we're running to the next goal, and we don't understand why. And it's subconscious patterns, which can be based in beliefs, which is where hypnosis comes in, and it's pretty potent and powerful, and things move fast. It's hypnosis is a great thing to go together with coaching, which is why I've created the mastermind, and we have a little bit of hypnosis in the mentorship. And the way we do that is the ladies in my mentorship, they get access to Catalyst. So they have access to all of those hypnosis audios, the videos over there on awareness and confidence in business. They have those to help that subconscious piece as they're learning about building a business. They're learning about marketing. So because I have a few different things going on, priorities are important for me. And also recognizing that there are periods of time, and this will be true for you also, there will be periods of time where you probably have to work more hours than you would necessarily like. But unless you want something that you're doing to take forever, like Pam said, she's using me as a distraction, right? Sometimes we can use self-care as an excuse or a distraction to avoid doing the things that may not be so fun or sexy in our business that need to be done. Now, when we're bringing in tons of cash flow, we can hire those things out. That is the whole point, is as we bring cash flow in the business, as we grow the business, we can begin to hire people to take over these things for us. And then with team, there comes a whole other level of boundaries and priorities. So it's never ending. But once you learn to master your thoughts and master your attention, you have a much deeper level of awareness, and you can see these things happening. You're like, what's this about? And you can work through what you can work through. And then when you realize, okay, I attempted to work through this, but working through this isn't working for me, then you know it's time to go deep. It's time to go subconscious and to really blast these things out of the water. So if any of this resonated with you, just please leave your comments, because it's your time to thrive. Things are shifting and things are changing, and the world is ready. And most of us in this group are women. 95, well, really at this point, about 98% of my clients are women. The mastermind is for female entrepreneurs, but we grew up with this whole idea of what it meant to be a successful woman, what our roles and duties are, and those things are falling away. And we can take our feminine energy, we can take our love, we can take our heart, our sincerity, and we can literally now pave a new way for what it looks like to be successful, what it looks like to run a business, what it looks like to be a mother, a wife, a grandmother, right? We get to transform that. The power is within us, and it's called choice. The power is within us. It's within you. So if you're running a business and you really want to thrive as you grow your business, you don't have to want to be a millionaire, but if you want to thrive as you grow your business up into the multi six figures, and I mean, heck, if you're going to do multi six, you may as well hit seven, because it's just the way that you're serving, right? You just kind of fine tune things a little bit. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be messy. Your business can be as easy or as complicated as you want it to be. I do have a workshop the 19th through the 22nd, Thrive to Seven Figures. I'm going to be breaking it all down, talking about what inspires you to go that extra mile, to do what it takes to decide that You want to be someone who has some team members that you lead, that you're ready to raise your rates on your one-on-one so that you can serve through another mechanism to your community to help more people thrive, to increase your impact, to get your time back and what that looks like. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to spend a whole session drilling down on these boundaries and priorities, and there's going to be a little bit of hypnosis every single day. If you go up to the banner in the Facebook group, click that, and you should see the link to join. If I didn't put it there, shame on me. I missed something in my time block. So as soon as I get off this call, I will make sure that it is there. But otherwise, you can go to pennychason.com/ the number 7 FIG, pennychason.com 7 FIG. I would love to see you there. I would love to know also your biggest takeaways from today's call. And I will see you next week. We'll be back here next week at the same time, 1 o'clock. Go enjoy your day. Bye now.